What size of company is the best customer to have if you're a traveling trainer, a freelance, self-employed training person? If you were going to target some local businesses, what would be the best size to go for? And I would say medium-sized companies, because really big companies often have full-time trainers they employ internally. And by the way, those people probably won't be very good because you can earn a lot more money as a freelance trainer. So why would you be an internally employed trainer? It's probably because you're not very good at selling or you worry about being self-employed. You can earn a lot more money being self-employed. But big companies tend to have these internally employed trainers. They sometimes have their own training center. So they're probably not going to give you much work. And really small companies don't do much training, or they want to train just 1 or 2 people. They probably aren't going to have 10 or 20 people available to come on one of your courses. So we're looking for medium-sized companies, I suppose between perhaps 100 and 500 people, something like that. But what I would say is you can't assume, because sometimes really big organizations do get you in to do training. So I've done lots of training for NHS trusts and for councils, and often those people employ thousands or even tens of thousands of people, and they've still had me in to do training. So why would that be? And it might be that there are just little crumbs, just odds and ends that they can't be bothered with, or subjects that they can't teach. So quite often they don't have the ability to teach project management, for example, or maybe they only want project management once a year, so they can't employ an internal trainer for that. Whereas things like perhaps customer service, they're teaching people all the time about that. But project management might be a bit of an oddity, so they get me in just for that. And there's one other oddity that they can't do, which is accredited training. So I found that big companies are the people who buy accredited training. So this would be certificate or diploma programs, perhaps accredited by the Chartered Management Institute or someone like that. If you've got the ability to provide a whole program that gets the people a diploma at the end of it, then big companies will pay you to come in and do that, because they very rarely have the ability to do that in-house. And I've got ways to do that. You can contact me after this and I can put you in touch with somebody who does provide accredited programs. So I do the teaching and my colleague does the accredited side of things. And that's really great because it means I can sell into those big organizations. So big organizations do have some mileage, and even their crumbs are probably enough to keep somebody like me happy for years, just doing 5 to 10 days a year for them. By the way, you really don't want to get totally in bed with a really big company, because then they've got power over you. It's a bit like supplying a supermarket. Once you do that, you're in real trouble because they can put the screws on you. I remember years ago, ICI asked me if I would do some training, and they wanted me to do about 100 days a year, which was pretty much everything I needed to live off. And I was thinking, this is going to be fantastic. But then I thought, what happens if they suddenly switch it off? And they wanted a really low price as well. And I said, well, I can't do it for that. And they said, but we're booking loads. And I said, yeah, but the last thing I want to do is fill my diary up with really badly paying work. And they said, well, that's how much we pay people for training. And I turned it down. And I'm really glad I did turn it down, because otherwise I would have become dependent on them and my diary would have been full of badly paid work. So with big companies, you've got to make sure it is only small crumbs. I would never want to do more than about 20 days a year for any one customer. And final thing I want to say is don't rule out the really small companies, because they can take you by surprise. Some small companies do a lot of training, and actually small companies have a really great culture, so they're really fun. You can't always charge them as much as a big company, because big companies do pay more for training than small ones. I don't know why that is, but they do. But small companies are fun, and also they do have a habit of growing. So quite often you do one day for a small company and you think, well, this is going to be a one-off. This is never going to go anywhere. And then they ask you back for another one and another one. And every year when they grow, they have a whole load of new people who have to be trained in all these subjects that you teach. So some of my best customers have started out as small companies and have grown into medium ones. So don't rule out the small ones, don't rule out the big ones, but I would target medium-sized customers as my ideal clients. And if you want to know more about that, please do click on the link below or go to successfultrainers.com. Book a call with me. It's free. I might be able to help you get into training if that's a career that you fancy getting into. And why would you not? It's the best job in the world.